My friends, today let's explore some truly ancient GoldenEye speedruns and examine some of the bizarre strategies used by the early gaming pioneers who blazed the trail and paved the way for modern speedrunners and the future evolution of speedrunning GoldenEye. From the infamous Woll Shot on Cradle to the earliest Caverns Agent completion we have on VHS tape, let's get comfy and see what historical insight we can glean from these early videos.
Here we go!
The Woll Shot. In March 2007, a remarkable speedrun was posted to the GoldenEye community on Cradle Secret Agent, a time of 40 seconds. Now this was not the world record, which was 36 at the time, and so it was a bit slower than that, but the strategy in this record was something so remarkable that people believed this would be the future way Cradle was played, if only we could figure out how to consistently make this happen. So here's the run in progress, and we see Woll, who the Woll Shot is named for, a fellow by the name Greg Woll, come through here, and he's going to shoot at the first guard a handful of times. Now generally on Cradle, especially Secret and Double Agent, the fastest way to defeat Trevelyan would be to use an explosive and throw it sort of across the way and use all the damage to eliminate him that way. But this requires getting a grenade from a guard, which is a pretty rare thing. So Woll goes here and starts blasting away in the antenna control room and hits the grenade, and we see Trevelyan go flying, passing him away, eliminating Trevelyan, and we get to run to the end of the stage. And now we saw a bit of hesitation at the entrance to this room, so Woll ends up with a time of 40 seconds. But this was really a remarkable and frankly shocking run. And so people thought this could maybe be the future way that Cradle is going to be played through the rest of time. Of course, you have to hesitate a little bit outside this hut in order to let Trevelyan activate the console, otherwise he remains invincible forever, but Woll waits the appropriate time, runs in here, and just shoots the grenade that Trevelyan had just dropped, causing him to take damage in the explosion, eliminating him, completing the objective, and allowing him to carry on beating the stage. Now, the world record strategy on Cradle, Secret, and Double Agent at the time looked more like this. This is Boss's run from late 2005, in which he uses the conventional technique, and this requires you to hopefully pick up a grenade from a guard, something that happens very, very rarely, and then use that grenade to throw it sort of across the path below, across the catwalk, in hopes there's the grenade, amazing pickup. And so Boss will switch the grenade, come down here, and throw the grenade across the catwalk and use that to eliminate Trevelyan and carry on. And now we were able to get times of 36 seconds and even later 35 seconds this way. It's a pretty good technique, but for a very, very long time, people thought that the Woll Shot was going to be the new way to play and beat Cradle, especially Secret and Double Agent. You know, if we could really figure out how to do the Woll Shot consistently and shoot that grenade as Trevelyan has just dropped it, could this be even faster and get times of 35 or 34 seconds? A couple years later, we see this interesting post from Clemens, longtime legendary GoldenEye player, one of the greatest of all time, and he posts a topic on the Elite Forum called New Cradle Strat, in which he describes a strategy, but a lot of people thought he was going to describe the Woll Shot. People were kind of disappointed that he actually described a different strategy that might come to fruition later. In it, he describes a strategy where you were to get a grenade from a guard and go into a certain spot while you're waiting for Trevelyan to enter that hut, and throw it inside the hut, and then it explodes and you carry on with the level. And he says he was able to get a time of 35 seconds with this using cheats as a proof of concept, and so this could be theoretically used at some point, but he was never able to pull off a world record run with this strategy. We even see a couple posts, one from Woll himself, saying that he was hoping the thread was going to be about consistently pulling off the Woll Shot. And we see a post from his buddy Lovins saying that technically the Woll Shot would be the fastest strategy of all and could get an easy 34-second time. Now, the Woll Shot, unfortunately, would never become consistent and would never make it as the sort of main strategy on Cradle. And in fact, it wouldn't be until 5 years after Clemens' post where the strategy he described ended up being used in a world record speedrun. And believe it or not, this record would be performed by none other than Carl Jobst, who achieved Cradle Double Agent 35 seconds as an untied world record in March 2014. We can see this is still on his main channel, unlisted on YouTube from all that time ago. And so this will give us a great depiction of what Clemens was imagining, this new Cradle strategy. Let's see where he gets a grenade. He picks it up from that guard, and so he's going to prime it about now. 1, 2, 3, chuck it in. It blows up. Trevelyan gets destroyed, gets eliminated. You destroy the console and carry on to the end of the stage. And so this is what Clemens had in mind in 2009, and it wasn't used in the untied record until Carl did it about 5 years later. And of course, we know now that ultimately in sort of the end game of Cradle, the ultimate strategy, getting the world records of 33 seconds, are completely different, although a little bit similar to the Woll Shot, in which we blow up the drone and shoot Trevelyan on the same frame, which is enough power to eliminate him, and then you have to hope that Trevelyan drops a grenade in such a spot to eliminate the console objective A. You can just run to the end and get 33 seconds, as we see on this run. And there's not really much that's going to be faster than that. You know, you can't really even ponder a faster strategy. Maybe it's possible in a couple of boosts here and there, maybe eke out a 32. This has been long discussed in the potential of GoldenEye's endgame. But for a very long time, for, you know, almost 15 years, the Woll Shot was theorized as maybe being a fast way to eliminate Trevelyan and get a great record on Cradle. It just never came to fruition, and so everyone who plays GoldenEye and digs into the community learns about the Woll Shot at some point. It's a truly iconic thing. One of the most bizarre early speedruns from back in the day in GoldenEye speedrunning. Next up, I wanted to watch an Aztec run from the days before we knew you could skip Jaws and get the glass open. You know, that was discovered by Big Boss Man, you know, legendary GoldenEye player himself, in late 2002. But what happened before this? And so one of the sort of most pristine runs we have, most iconic runs in this pre-glass opening era, where you actually had to go back and eliminate Jaws yourself, comes from a gentleman named Ben Gorman. I believe this was a pseudonym or alias even, real name uncertain. Paragon X9 was the fella's gamer tag, and he was more of a Perfect Dark player, but he got the definitive Aztec Double Agent run using sort of the most ancient strategies on Aztec Double Agent. And let's watch one of these runs now. And, you know, we can see in the first room here, you know, this movement and elimination of these three guards could be cleaned up pretty well. We do it a lot faster these days. So you kind of wonder what a theoretical world record would be if this was still the strategy. You know, this time was set in 2001. If this was still the strat, you know, now 24, 25 years later. But we'll see Paragon travel down here, and I actually received an email from a viewer not too long ago asking if we knew that a strategy you're about to see was well known, and I told him, listen, indeed, the strategy was very, very well known back in the day, and you'll see it coming up. But Paragon just went out there to sort of eke and lure Jaws out, and then travel backwards to clear out some guards who might be behind him and chasing him down and trolling him. Jaws peeks around the corner. We get very close to him and fire as much as we can at his head, doing damage and getting the smart card, which opens the glass door. Now, a problem that happens on Aztec is as soon as you eliminate Jaws, 3 Moonraker laser guards will start seeking you out, infinitely spawning guards. And so not only do you have the guards that you still get to encounter on the stage, but there's also going to be like 3 randomly spawning guards chasing him down at every turn. So Paragon's going through here. He's got to pause here at the glass. He's got to take out the floppy disk, the guidance data, pick up the DAT, program the upload the guidance data, and carry on. But at any turn, and I'm sure we'll see them coming up, at any possible turn, these 3 Moonraker guards could be here. and they do 2 bars of damage on Double Agent, which is honestly terrifying. Even in a casual setting, trying to beat this level is terrifying. But we peek out here, destroy the drones, and Paragon's carrying on. There, we got some damage from a laser guard, one piece of damage, a couple bars. And I was even wondering when I just rewatched this run before this viewing, would he run the ending? He has pretty full health, and indeed he does run the ending. I thought maybe he's going to try to take out a drone or a guard or two, but he just runs it, takes, loses all the health in the world. There are the 3 laser spawning guards, or at least 2 of them. He gets double Moonraker lasers, he can travel back in this culvert where he's safe and watches the time count down. A time of 2:38, truly remarkable, and this really is and was the iconic world record in this era on Aztec Double Agent. And the key that makes this strategy possible was being able to jump up that massive gap in the second room. And it really is as simple as just pressing A to switch weapons, just like doing any other warp in the game, a door warp or a ladder warp. You just press A. Sometimes you don't even have to press A if there's enough lag, and you just shoot up this gap. And because you're able to travel down the gap to Jaws and then back up to the glass room, well, this gives us the fastest path through the stage. And so in the earliest days of Aztec, this was the known speed strategy. A legendarily difficult stage, almost the Dark Souls of GoldenEye levels back in the day. With modern performance and play, even with this strategy, if a run was completed, you could probably cut off, who knows, 10, maybe even 20 seconds or more. But just the fact that this was achieved back then and sort of remained the record until the glass opening strategy was found, really almost a game-breaking skip in a way. It's just an iconic run by Paragon and a remarkable thing to see. Now we've got to watch a run by Sterling Neblett, the game's sort of first well-documented champion. Now he didn't have videos for all of his runs, but he showed up in the scene in 1999 and claimed a lot of world records and had videos for at least some of the runs, which was remarkable considering, the years in 1999, how do you even make a video, let alone render a usable file and upload it on the internet? This is an era that predates social media. We're on, very poor bandwidth modems, dial-up modems half the time. So any sort of video evidence is remarkable. And he has a time of Facility Double Agent 104, which was the world record when he achieved it. And there are some pretty cool strategies and techniques used in it. So let's take a look at this run. The cropping's very short. We even miss a first few frames of the run, but that's okay. Goes out and he's going to shoot 7 times. That's really a pivotal strategy that we still do to this day because it makes enough noise to lure this door open. You press B at the security door and you need to do that in order to get this door open. That's never been skipped even 25 plus years later. And Sterling's going to carry on. He's taking a lot of damage, down to 2 bars, which is pretty scary. But he was kind of a bad dude gamer back then. He was able to grind it out. And, you just don't think of grinding speedruns in that era, but he certainly did, down to 1 bar. He knows Doke is on the right. Doke is only there 1 in 7 times. He detonates a mine to get rid of those 2 guards. You could probably take 1 more bar of damage, if even that. So he's gonna shoot a guard that comes behind him while he's waiting for the decoder door to open. And then he's gonna switch to mines. He got a good Trev, back probably before we even knew good Trevs were a thing. And that sort of wide left mine was pretty cool. Times the ending to completion. We see Bond walking in there, and 104 Facility Double Agent. I don't know if you caught that at the ending, but the end screen was clearly not all there. It was a sort of a quit out, failed end screen that said aborted and incomplete, and then showed the best time 104. And back then, this was actually considered like acceptable proof, because we saw him play a run, we saw some of the strategies we used, and we saw the best time saved into his cartridge, at least as clearly as we could for this era. And so even though this isn't, this would not be considered reasonable proof in this day and age, back then it certainly was. And it really kind of gives you that sort of bizarre perspective on just how far things have evolved, you know. Some of Sterling's contemporaries didn't have videos at all, and it just kind of came down to a friend sort of being their witness and giving testimony that they saw them play and get a great run. So Sterling getting this 104 on facility, and I believe that he probably got the 104, but the video file could not tolerate a full like minute 10 seconds. It got cut off, so he had to go back in and quit out and show the best time later on. It was stitched on in some way or another. And yeah, just really can demonstrate just how far we've evolved when it comes to speedrunning and verifying records. Now, one more early GoldenEye run I want to show today is the Caverns Double Agent 305 by Mike Martin. Now, this is a sort of character. He was, again, an early champion of the game. He did have some videos, and Caverns Double Agent is a very difficult level to survive, especially back then, and I'll get into why in a moment. And this is November 1999. The game's been out 2 years. How well refined is the community at all? And certainly the speedrunning strategies. So these harder to survive levels basically come down to like, just play a run and do it and hope to complete it with any sort of speed. What's funny, and I will embed the current world record of bans by 128 in this video on the left-hand side, well, it's more than twice as fast as Mike Martin's original record on Caverns Double Agent from, 26 years ago. And so we'll be able to see Ban's run play out twice in the time of Mike Martin's run plays out once. And yeah, let's just start and see Martin open the first door and carry on and sort of run through the stage. And I kind of found this interesting when I rewatched, is that he gets shot with an AR-33 right away, losing 1.5 bars of health. And so that's quite a significant amount of damage. You only have 8 bars. And if you're watching and another hit there, down to 5 bars already. And so you wonder how many times he played this out just in hopes that he could maybe survive later, in hopes that you need all the scientists to survive. Now I'm sure we're seeing bans, halfway through the level by this point with the modern record. And we also notice that bans will have a body armor, because around 2012 it was discovered that the Japanese version of the game had a lot of body armors left in that were removed on the English NTSC and PAL versions. So Mike Martin does not have any body armor, and he only has 5 bars left to survive the whole level. Now, guys would get really good and get, down towards where the record is now with no body armor. Ace and Clemens got 135s, which are insane, but so the body armor isn't the whole story on why bans and so on save a lot of time. Now we see Mike Martin take this back route and destroy these lockers, and even I wondered why he didn't do this before destroying the lockers, throw a mine there too. The idea is those boxes are full of ammo, which is a useful thing in video games. And so why exactly he didn't throw the mine earlier, I'm not exactly sure. But we see him peek out here and shoot at the consoles. He's fortunate that the first one he shot out actually blew up, because it easily could have just not taken. Sometimes only half of the console will blow up. But now he's got piles of ammo and he's carrying on. And he's actually using the down route, which we do not see in speedrunning. And, a few years later, we'd finally get someone who could beat Trevelyan all the way to the end on Caverns Double Agent. Very remarkable stuff. You can watch the Speedlore episode for full details on all that. But we'll see Mike Martin carry in and, beat it competently, shooting a window out to lure this guard. He has a very powerful RCP-90 and a code card, and you're kind of playing it like almost a one-try situation. But just to ponder that this was done in the 90s, he's risking this. He could have taken huge damage there from another RCP-90 guard, 2 bars of damage, but luckily for him, everything blew up as he entered the radio room. Now, sometimes the scientists blowing up will cause you to fail that objective, depending how the early ones got away or didn't get away. But that was well played. Obviously, the first 3 got away. He can afford the 2 there to pass away. He's going to crouch here and shoot the drones. This is always very nerve-wracking. He's going to be down to 11 shots here. And so it's like, do you reload? Because there's about 6 guards later in the level. He does. He thinks he has enough time to reload, which he does, but there's other guards chasing you from behind, spawning guards. Mike Martin gets a boost in the elevator, reminiscent of Elu's Caverns Agent boost. And there, 305, I mean, that was a remarkable, remarkable speedrun. Equally remarkable is that we're able to beat the level more than twice as fast today, all this time later. So there you go, my friends. There was a look at some early bizarre records in GoldenEye history. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like me to check out other ancient GoldenEye speedruns or in other games. A huge thanks to the channel members and the Patreon supporters for your support of my work. Stay true, my friends, and I will see you in the next stream or video.